Happy Palm Sunday to those who celebrate, to more who celebrate. Happy Masters Sunday. My wife this morning said, "Hey, do you want to wear my visor on your show?" And I said, no. But then I decided that I did want to wear the visor on the show. DC, a lot of stuff going on in the sports world today. Masters Sunday, last full regular season slate of basketball. For those of you total degenerates who are still trying to do that, of course, we'll have content up for that. There's a showdown for the Masters. Then we've got this 10-game MLB slate. By the way, 2 weeks into the season, we still don't have a Major League Baseball entry promo. Let's get going, marketing team. We got to get this stuff together. And then DC, I was out last night. This is a week. I've been on the road for like 8 of the last 9 weeks. One of those with you. We had a great time in Vegas. And last night, we're down here in Florida, and we're out at the Ritz-Carlton lobby bar. It was one of those where my wife had the card, and whatever it was. We had a great time. Get home. She goes to bed, and I said, what am I going to do? It's 10:30. I'll watch the fights. And I didn't intend to watch the fights, DC. I did not intend to be up until 1:30 in the morning. But the fights were good, and 6 feet tall and made of muscle. Reminds me of you, but it was Alexander Volkanovski last night. What a performance by him. I know you didn't get to watch it, but you look like you got a little bit more sleep than JT did last night.
Yes. Enough sleep. Missed, that's the first UFC pay-per-view card I've missed in a long time. At a previous engagement, so didn't see the fights, but did see some highlights, and they looked like some good, entertaining fights. So happy for that. And man, what a day of sports here. Obviously, we've got the baseball slate that we'll talk about, but I think the Masters is probably on most people's, that are watching this on their minds. Bryson versus Rory up top. Should be a fantastic Sunday of sitting around and watching sports, which is like our favorite thing to do anyway, JT. So we're in for a fine Sunday here. Hopefully get some baseball winners. NBA playoffs coming finally down this week. Should be an awesome time. So, yeah, great time in the sports world and excited for today for sure.
The last 5-6 years, I became a UFC fan during the days of Brock Lesnar and Frank Mir. And the last 5-6 years, I will tell you, I have almost always regretted the $80 spent on pay-per-view. Last night, I did not. The Patty Pimblett performance, that fight against Chandler, which when Michael Chandler's involved, sorry to talk about UFC guys, but really, it was, DC, the first card that I literally enjoyed in a long time. And then the Volkanovski performance, I mean, just a really good card. Not to rub it in that you didn't get to see it, but just maybe MMA is coming back. Maybe they're finding their wings here, get a little bit more steam for the rest of the year. But we do have a 10-game slate. There's a couple of little weather spots, but nothing really significant to talk about. We've got Kevin O. Peterson here. I don't know when Goldie became my boy. I'm not sure if there was a show a few seasons ago where I was stroking Paul Goldschmidt, because he's not a guy I play often. But Kevin, welcome back to the United States. Not sure why Goldie's my boy. Stevers is in here. Our girl Brittany, we're happy to see you. Brittany was making a comment the other day about Sims and ROI, and I couldn't follow it. So Brittany, feel free to drop in what you were talking about there, because I thought it was an interesting comment. P. Lally came in, I think he came in third or fourth on the main late night for 3K. So congratulations to him. Uncle T is in the house. Good morning, Uncle T. Uncle T was up top Friday night, DC. Friday night in the $44. I think he came in the top 10. I was in the same contest. Did not have the same fortune as he did. But we'll get into the games here. 10 games. And DC, we start in a stadium that used to be one that we love to target for bats. Hasn't been that way. There have been fences moved out, fences moved in. This one, Jose Barrios, 7,800 against Cade Povich, 6,900. DC, you know all about our partner SaberSim. They were all over the Toronto Blue Jays yesterday for the early main slate. And I played a bunch of them. And this is the best thing about Saber. Everything else is kind of difficult in terms of using it as an actual optimizer. But the Sims are pretty spot on, especially once you get a few weeks into the season. They were on Toronto with Atlanta Minis. That turned out to be a pretty good combination. They were on Washington, which was a really good contrarian play yesterday against Sandy Alcantara. This one, Barrios, Povich, kind of 50s in Baltimore. What are your thoughts here on the pitchers and the offenses?
Yeah, I think you could go back to the Blue Jays here, right? Against Povich, the lefty. I don't think he's anything special. Probably going to get hit hard in general by right-handed bats, which is, that's what, 8 out of 9 swinging from the right side for the Blue Jays. And, they got some guys who can do some damage at the top of the lineup. So they're not my favorite stack today. Part of it, JT, is just the hitting in Camden Yards, right? Where we've got obviously the deep fences in left field. I know they moved them in a little bit this year, but still just a tough place for right-handed bats to hit home runs. And if you watch baseball, it can be very frustrating to have batters in Camden. And, we know what a home run swing looks like.
The ball just dies, right? It's like there's a force field and it gets to about 360 feet and it's like, nope.
Yeah. So that's just not on a 10-game slate. And we do have some pretty good hitting environments. It's warming up a little bit. Just, in my opinion, not the spot to do it. So I'm not on really either offense in this game. I think the Orioles side is a little bit more interesting. The lefties against Barrios, that is the better side to try to hit home runs to right field. So lefties obviously have a little bit of an advantage there. So yeah, I don't mind, Henderson, Gunnar, Adley, Ryan O'Hearn, but they're expensive too. And obviously Barrios a decent enough pitcher. So I'm mostly off this game. No interest in either pitcher. I mean, it is a fantastic slate for pitching, right? I do think this is a slate where you're not going to be able to miss at pitching. You're going to need 2 good scores, I think, to compete in GPP. So Povich, Barrios, frankly, not even close to making the cut at pitcher for me. It would be the offenses here, but again, kind of lukewarm on both offenses myself.
Christian Lyon. I think that's how you pronounce your last name. If not, it is now. Good morning to you as well. Happy to see you here in the chat. The bill, the negative are. Don't get me started about. I mean, again, DC. There's some really good things about Saber. But there's every time I get the message that pops up that we're unable to meet your exposures, continue editing. And I'm like, you absolutely can meet my exposures. You just don't want to.
I've only seen that message, I don't know, 10,000 times in my life.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, like I said, use the Sims and enjoy those. Let's get to the next game because this one is an interesting one to talk about. We've got the Giants who have been hitting the ball this series, actually, both teams. 8-4, I think 8-4, 9-4 yesterday on the Yankees' favor. Giants in cold, wet weather on Friday night score 11 runs. Logan Webb, 8K. Carlos Rodon, 8.3K. Here's what stands out to me about this game, DC. Number one, you get a 10-mile-an-hour wind blowing out to right field against Logan Webb, who we really only like to use when he's at home. But here's the biggest thing. The Yankees are going to be 2% owned. The Yankees are going to be 2% owned here against a guy who struggles on the road, playing in a smaller park than he normally does. What are your thoughts here on the Giants and the Yankees?
I kind of had the same thought as you, where, again, this is, 2 good pitchers, right? Rodon, Logan Webb, they are good pitchers, but this is still a spot that I like the bats way more than the pitchers. Again, part of it is just how strong this pitching slate is. Obviously, these first 2 games, we don't love the pitchers here in comparison to the other options that we have available to us. So no Webb for me, no Carlos Rodon. Again, you'll get them super low owned if you want to go that direction, but I don't think it's the slate for that. I'm with you. I think the power bats on both sides. I mean, the Giants have some power from the right side. Elliot Ramos and Matt Chapman in particular stand out to me as bats you might be able to pick off a home run or 2 with against the lefty Rodon. And then on the Yankee side, and that's the side that I'm actually more interested in. Sounds like you are as well, based on your initial introduction to the game. Again, Webb a good pitcher, but not nearly as good when you take him out of San Francisco, and especially in comparison to what the Yankees and Giants have had to play in Yankee Stadium for these first 2 days. I think it's going to feel pretty good out there, even at 50, 55 degrees. I'm not worried about the weather, especially with that short porch in right field for some of these lefties for the Yankees. Additionally, JT, and importantly, Logan Webb gives up a lot of stolen bases. The Yankees have been running. I mean, even Ben Rice, I'll talk more about him because he looks absolutely incredible. Looks like a star to me, Ben Rice. The metrics back all that up. Leading off in front of Aaron Judge, who obviously you have to like. This team is running. I mean, Rice can run. Judge has got a couple steals already. Jazz, Volpe, Jason Dominguez can run down in there in the 7-hole. So you've got, a lot of power out to right field on the lefties, on Bellinger, Jazz, Ben Rice, Dominguez. And then, of course, Judge and Goldsman. You can play those guys too. They look pretty good early on. So I like the Yankees here. I'm on board with your take. And I think Ben Rice might be my favorite play on the entire slate. Once you also factor in, we're going to get him at like 5, 6, 7% owned, something like that, maybe even less. Leading off, he's 3,500. And there's a chance he'll come back to earth. But if you just looked at even beyond like the surface numbers for Rice, if you look at some of the advanced stuff, right now Rice is grading out as like literally like the best hitter in the league. He leads the league in hard hit percentage, leads the league in barrels. He's taking walks. He just looks incredible. So I'm in on the Yankees here. I'm with you, JT.
Jung-Ho Lee even hit the ball yesterday. Hit the ball out of the yard. So he's
been playing well. Lee
for the Giants, it's something that's promising. We got a couple of comments here. Pilali, Webb whiffing more this year. He got the Reds at home. Any matchup at home for Logan Webb, he does well. It's just a combination of the park and the weather there. Again, he's not a bad pitcher, but on the road, he can get shelled. Adam Wilson, New York will get ownership. Okay, Adam, they're projected for 2%. I don't know what else you would like us to say there. And then, Ben Rice took Rice for a home run yesterday, paid off. He has been hitting the ball well, and like DC says, he's got other ways to impact the game once he gets on base, which is what you like for DFS. So we are aligned. We are aligned here on the Yankees and the Giants. We'll keep it moving. Go ahead, drop any questions in the chat. The next game, DC, these two teams, and Mangone's playbook yesterday, I thought was a well done playbook, and he talked about Bill Miller behind home plate for the game in Miami. He talked about Sandy Alcantara. Trevor Williams had been good, but these two teams have been scoring runs all weekend. Now, we're not sure if the Washington Nationals hit South Beach last night. That's something that for a while has been an issue on Sundays in Miami. But we've got Mackenzie Gore at 8,100 and Cal Quantrill at 6,300 DC. And when I look at this pitching slate, when I look at who's going to be owned, it starts with Garrett Crochet. We'll get to him. I'm seeing 10% and under on Mackenzie Gore in this matchup against the Miami Marlins at 8,100. And it's early in the season, just like I said about Logan Webb. However, Mackenzie Gore, it looks like, DC, to start the year, looks like he's going to take that next step into becoming an actual ace here. 8,100, under 10% ownership against the Marlins. That's my favorite spot in this game. What about you?
Yeah, 100% with you there. I think Gore is one of the pitchers who, I don't think his floor is as high as, a Crochet, some of the other pitchers that we'll talk about. But I do think his ceiling is just as high as anybody, right? We've already seen it. He struck out 13 on opening day against the Phillies. We've seen multiple double-digit strikeout games from him in the past.
Good game against the Dodgers, too, last time out. Not to interrupt, but good game against the Dodgers last time out. And think about that, DC.
Yeah.
He gets the Dodgers and does well. Now he faces the Marlins.
Right. And so we know what happens, right? Comes back against the Marlins. No, but really, I know the Marlins they've put up a bigger fight early on here than I think most people expected to, certainly more than I expected to. But nevertheless, this is a lineup to target with starting pitching. It's going to be all season long. It's a great place to pitch in Miami. And, Gore's he's a super, super talented arm that can go deep into games. They're going to let him throw 100 pitches. And the strikeout should be there against this team. So I'm with you. I think Gore could absolutely put up 30 plus, which is kind of what I'm hoping to get, honestly, out of my two starting pitchers. Obviously, no guarantees, but Gore's one of the pitchers that could definitely do it. So I'm with you on Gore. I'm not on the Marlins bats, I don't think, really at all. And then the Nationals, you could use them, I think, against Cal Quantrill, he's made, I think, some changes this year, but I don't think he's going to be any good. And then the Marlins have one of, if not the worst bullpens in baseball behind him as well. Nationals have shown a little life. Keibert Ruiz looks good. He's been one of the better hitting catchers. And then James Wood has been just fantastic. He looks like he's going to be a star as well. So, yeah, I think you could do worse than the Nationals here. I don't think I'd go crazy with it, but certainly would want to include them if playing a bunch of lineups.
I definitely enjoy on this slate the fact that the Yankees are at 3%, Washington coming in about 6%. I like the Washington Nationals as minis here, but I like them as full stacks as well. For the reason that you mentioned, you've got Quantrill, who's on his 5th or 6th team, right? This is just a guy that the Marlins can afford. That's it. That's the only reason why this guy's in the major leagues. And a bullpen that's been abused so far all weekend long by this team. Yes, CJ Abrams on the IL, but you still have Wood, you still have Ruiz, you still have Dylan Cruz, you still have Luis Garcia. This team, don't sleep on the Nationals. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs this year, but I think they're going to make it very uncomfortable come September for the Mets, for the Phillies, who are going to be in playoff contention, maybe the Braves if they can get their act together here. I think it's going to be very uncomfortable playing those Nationals in September. So I like them here. How are the Marlins 7-7? Steve Kreitzen, good to see you. It's baseball, buddy. It's baseball. And we're seeing it. So Brad, Dylan Cruz is hitting 116. Thank you for the stat update. Who cares? We will move on to the next game, which is an interesting one, DC. The Kansas City Royals in Cleveland, 57 degrees. We've got Cole Ragans at 8,400 and Ben Lively at 6,800. Ragans, of course, a guy who is an ace, who is one of those pitchers that we look for. He looks to be underpriced here. Guardians, not a team that I really like to target with opposing starting pitching much, just because they don't strike out the way that you really need strikeouts to pile up. But then again, you have a guy in Ragans who can strike out the best. What are your thoughts here on the Royals and Guardians?
Yeah, the good folks at DraftKings don't seem to like Cole Ragans very much because he's proved it last year and so far this year he's clearly better than a low to mid 8K pitcher like he's priced at 8,400. What he put up 25 against Milwaukee, 30 against Minnesota. I expect a big performance out of him. You're right where the strikeout rates for the Guardians, especially at the top of the lineup, are really low, but they do have some high K bats down the order, at least for Ragans, if you're on him, to hopefully get the strikeouts. So ownership wise, he's going to be high, right? Ragans, I assume. Looking that up now. Yeah. Our friends at Sabre have him at 25 to 30%. Makes sense on this slate. He's got to be on the short list. He is, at least for me, just underpriced. And I think the matchup, well, maybe not being as high of strikeout as you would like, is high enough considering the price point for Reagan. So Hunter Green we'll talk about. I like slightly better than Reagan's, but Reagan's definitely in contention. He probably will end up on one of my 3 teams, Will Reagan's. Not going to, I don't think, any Guardians bats. Jose Ramirez if you really want to do it, but I don't see the need on this slate. And then I haven't played the Royals much this year. I don't know where you stand on the Royals, JT, but outside of their top few bats, kind of uninspiring options down the lineup. So, of course, Witt, Pasquantino, Salvador Perez, that 2-3-4 looks good. But beyond that, I'm not in love with the Royals here, even in a pretty good matchup against Ben Lively, who I don't think is a great pitcher by any means.
Yeah, Lively, a mediocre pitcher. The Royals, it's just tough for a 5-man to get there.
Yeah,
there's some pinch hit risk as well with the guys who aren't the main guys, which is always going to limit your upside on a 5-man full stack. And the park, right? There was a lot of noise last year about something they did to the wall in the outfield, or they were doing some construction with the lighting that, and for 2 weeks there was a bunch of home runs and then nothing. So anything can happen. I will 5-man the Guardians before I'll 5-man the Royals. And I'm lower on Cole Ragans in this spot. I just think there are some other pitching spots here. One in particular we'll talk about that looks to be under-owned that I want to take advantage of as we get through the slate. Stevers, of course, loves the Guardians. Indians probably won't. All right, he's not on the Guardians. Sorry about that, Stevers. Good to see you. Kevin O. Peterson says Stephen Kwan with a 0.0 boom score. Well, that's because he hit a home run the other night, and it doesn't happen more than once a month or so. We'll move on to the next game. You mentioned Hunter Green. He's in this one. It is in Cincinnati. Carmen Mlodzinski, 6,600. Again, another guy who probably would not be in the league, but for the fact that the Pirates can afford him. Hunter Green, 8,500. Uncle T says he should be at least 9,500. This has been a good matchup to target early in the season, pitching against the Pittsburgh Pirates, away from home, getaway day. Hunter Green underpriced. Hunter Green's one of my main pitchers today, DC. What about you?
Yeah, he's got to be. We've been on the Hunter Green so far this year over at Run Pure Sports, and this is one of those guys where, I just don't see a reason to hop off. He's been fantastic. We've been on him. He looks better and better every start. I talked before his last start against the Giants. I think I was on a show with Big T that day. Hunter Green also looks like he lost a bunch of weight, which, again, you don't have to be in perfect shape to be a pitcher, but I think kind of speaks to maybe some dedication and improvements that he's made coming into the season. And he looks like just a true star. And even the strikeouts have been good, 8, 8, and 7 through 3 starts. There's some bigger games coming for Hunter Green with the strikeouts, with the way he's throwing. I mean, he's averaging 100 miles per hour with the fastball and going deep into starts, 104 pitches last time out, 1 out short of the complete game shutout. So I love Hunter Green here. I mean, the Pirates, really not a scary lineup. Did they get a lineup for them yet? Did they get O'Neal Cruz back in there? I'm not sure. But, in any case, Hunter Green, when you put in the price, I think he's second for me. We'll get to the matchup that Garrett Crochet has. Kind of hard to ignore that. But I love Hunter Green here. I think he's going to pitch really well. And I think he's a great building block piece to your lineup. Looks like a very pitcher-friendly umpire in this game as well. Not that Hunter Green needs it, but we'll take a little bump there from the umpire. So in on Green, no, I don't think any Pirates for me. And then the Reds, this offense has not been hitting. I mean, if you want to play Ellie De La Cruz, of course, a pretty good play, most slates, including this one, but mostly out on these offenses, JT.
Take a little bit of Hunter Green. If you have questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat. And if you say something in the chat that's inspiring, we might mention it. If you say something like Ellie De La Cruz is going to hit a home run, we're generally going to ignore you. That could happen on any slate. Just kidding. Metro Boom. We'll get on to the next game here. And this game is in Tampa Bay. The Braves, winners yesterday in extra innings. Chris Sale, 9K against this franchise. DC sucks, Tampa Bay. Just everything about Kevin Cash, everything about the Tampa Bay Rays is pitiful. The stadium situation, the team, everything about this franchise is awful. We don't know who they're starting today, DC. We don't know. It's an hour and a half before game time. Kevin Cash probably knows. Is it going to be Joe Boyle? Is it going to be Shane Baz? It doesn't matter. You've got the Braves and the Rays, DC. I'm not sure if the Braves went out in Ybor City to celebrate their win last night, but you got the Braves and the Rays, and you got likely a bullpen game on the Rays side of sorts. Chris Sale at 9K. Velocity has been down a little bit. People talking about that. Usually when that happens, DC, for a veteran pitcher, they usually bounce back in a big way. What are your thoughts here on Chris Sale, the Braves, and the Rays?
Yeah, I think Sale will be fine. Just watching him pitch, I'm not really worried about the velocity there. His velocity, too, has fluctuated more than other pitchers throughout his career, and usually kind of no matter where it's at, he's very effective. So I think Sale's a fine play. Again, most slates, Sale would be at or near the top of the list pitching-wise. On this slate, I do have him a fair bit behind Hunter Green, who I like better. I like Crochet better, and then another couple starters who I do like a little bit better than Chris Sale. But that's not to say that he couldn't have a fantastic game here. I will say, people out there are concerned about Sale. The Rays do have a couple interesting bats. Yandy Diaz leading off, I think, is a fun play at 4K. If you think Sale is, maybe doesn't quite have it right now. And then he hasn't done anything yet, but Junior Caminero hitting third for the Rays. I believe he leads the entire entire league and like bat speed. They measure that kind of thing now. So he's swinging hard, not making a lot of contact at the moment, but I do think the power is coming for Camporeale. You'll get both those guys super low owned, decent leverage against Sale, who people will play. So I do think they're okay plays. And of course you get this park, right, which we know is going to be a hitter friendly environment. So yeah, again, I think those one-offs for the Rays are fine, and then Sale too, I think a pretty good play. But bearing the lead a little bit because the Braves are a team that I really like, assuming it's Joe Boyle, which I think it is. Maybe someone has seen that in chat that can confirm it, but I assume it's going to be Joe Boyle. If it is him, JT, I really, really like this Braves team. Obviously, the park is good, but Boyle, he's like 6'9" and has like massive walk issues. His walk rate is like 7 or 8 per 9 over the last couple seasons. So I love stacking against these pitchers who can get super wild because you just turn the lineup over, right? You get guys on base. Pitchers are worse when you get guys on base, and maybe the Braves, snapping out of it a little bit with a nice win last night. So I love this Braves team. Harris at the top of the lineup, I think, is one of the better plays, can steal on Boyle as well. And yeah, I think this Braves team could do some damage today. So pretty high on the Braves. Interested to hear where you ended up.
Yeah. In order to take advantage of a pitcher with walk issues, you have to be willing to not swing. Yeah. You have to be willing to be patient. And we left the house just as that game started yesterday, and I faded Drew Rasmussen because he was very highly owned. And we know, like I said, this franchise sucks. They're going to pull him at 79 pitches, 80 pitches. That's what they're doing because the guy had an injury once. And he struck out the side in the first inning. Like kind of get runners on, and then you just hear the announcer, swing and a miss, swing and a miss. And this is what you're going to hear a lot in Braves games. And a couple of years ago when they were good, this was not what it was like.
Yeah.
They would put runners on. They would settle for the opposite field single. Now, the Braves are as boom bust as I've ever seen a team in Major League Baseball. They are striking out or they are hitting a home run. And maybe that works. If they hit another 230 home runs, it'll be fine. But for that reason, they fall. They're in the pool. 5-mans, minis, one-offs, fine. Just can't get to a point where I'm like, I have to play more of this team than any other. Yeah. Especially the other thing to think about too. Yeah, Joe Boyle's going to start. He's not going long, DC. They're going to come in. Now, the one good thing about the Braves is they're not like the Giants. They're not like the Twins where, Kelenic and whoever's playing shortstop, whether it's Allen or Arcia, they'll move those guys out. Kelenic for a switch hitter, for a hitter from the other side. Allen, Arcia for defensive purposes. They'll do something later in the game. So you are going to get full at-bats from most of the team. Just not Adam Wilson listening to the Braves fan here. Yeah, I am. I follow the team. They disgust me. They're in the pool. Can't get high or low on them, as is my opinion of them. And as far as the Rays, they do have some pop. You mentioned Camporeale, a couple of other guys. Don't love it today, but again, the stadium's good. So, all right, we are moving on to. We do have a Pirates lineup. James Sarcone provides some valuable info, so we will give you congratulations and props. No Sawinski, no Hayes for Pitt. I mean, those guys, it's sort of like, who cares who they're playing? There's no one that could be in the lineup other than O'Neal Cruz where you're like, all right, that's that's good, right? Everyone else is just kind of like, again, guys they can afford, guys who are willing to take less to play baseball. All right, Kevin O. Peterson says the Pirates lineup that just came out is atrocious. Day that ends in Y. DC, let's move on to the next game. Keep this moving here so that we can all make our lineups. The next game, and this is one I have an interesting take here that I almost never have. It's the Tigers and the Twins. Casey Mize, 7,200. Simeon Woods Richardson at 5,800 DC. Thoughts here on the Tigers and the Twins?
Well, first thought is I'm as disgusted by my Twins as you are by your Braves. So I'm out. The Twins are even worse. Yeah, Mize and Richardson here. I mean, Mize has shown some interesting things early on, he's been really good through 2 games, one in Seattle, and then he pitched well against the Yankees too. So I do think there is, something to be said for the improvements that Casey Mize has made. And, like a couple other pitchers we've mentioned on other slates, I do think Mize would be a pretty solid player. And you can definitely use him at 7,200. You do get a little bit of savings there, but there's just such quality, high upside pitching options that it feels like, you're kind of putting yourself behind the 8 ball a little bit. But if Mize does what he's done the first 2 games, he gives you 25 fantasy points, you're obviously going to be fine with that. So I do think he's an okay play. Certainly prefer him to Woods Richardson, who is very cheap, but that's about all he's got going for him, other than, of course, a decent matchup against the Tigers. But yeah, it would be the bats here that I'm a little bit more interested in. Mostly on the Tiger side, right? That left-handed power, Carpenter, Riley Green hitting 2-3 today, I think are a pretty fun mini stack. Torkelson's been on fire. So yeah, I do think you can play that kind of middle of the Tigers lineup. The Twins, I don't know. Wallner is fine, Larnach's fine, the power guys, but they don't excite me. They don't run at all. I'm going to try to stay away from the Twins. It's the Tiger side, JT, that I think is the most interesting way to play this game.
So it's interesting because I have this rule that I've made basically this season is I'm never going to be overweight on a Tigers pitcher or a Twins pitcher.
Okay.
Same with the Rays, maybe outside of Tarek Skubal. I think you could see Mize come back to earth here a little bit.
Yeah.
In this game. And Simeon Woods Richardson is a pitcher who always seems to be popular, always seems to find his way into one of our cores here for some reason. If I was going to ever play Simeon Woods Richardson, it would be today. 5,800, 5.5K prop, 15.5 out prop juiced over. This guy sucks. Let's just say this guy sucks. I have no faith in Simeon Woods Richardson longevity in Major League Baseball. It could end any day. It might end today. But if I was going to play him, it would be today in this matchup with the market on him the way it is. That's it. I don't know if I'm going to play him today, DC. I am not going to actively take him out of my pool. I'm not going to be overweight on him. I mean, I guess playing him at all on this slate, you're overweight. So let's say 10, 15% off on Mize. I think it's always, I didn't write down the ownership on the Twins, but it's pretty low. Cleveland, by the way, 2% ownership on that stack, which is interesting. The Twins break slates. It happens 5 or 6 times a season. The Twins will break a slate. I don't know that it's today.
Hope not.
I don't know that it's today. But they're in the pool for that very reason. And as Steve Kreitzen says, guy with a 5K prop, expected to go 5 innings, maybe a little more. You never get through 6 with Rocco Baldelli. He's got a twitch. Like he'll fall asleep every now and then and wake up in the middle of the 5th inning and say, oh shit, I got to get my guy out of there. But yeah, a guy with a 5K prop and under 6K isn't bad. All right, let's move on. We've talked enough about the Twins and the Tigers. We don't need to waste any more time. By the way, I could be dead wrong on Simeon Woods Richardson, so feel free if you want to stack the Tigers. I don't think it's happening today for the Tigers. All right. This game is one where the offense is going to be popular, and it's an interesting one to talk about because this isn't a park where you see a lot of runs often. You did see a lot of runs the other night, not last night. We've got the Angels and the Astros. Kyle Hendricks, DC. Kyle Hendricks, probably a better pitcher than Simeon Woods Richardson and Joe Boyle. 6K against the Astros. Hayden Wesneski at 7,300. The markets want us to play Wesneski. Not a fan early in the season of what the Astros manager is doing with this pitching staff. Seems to have gotten a very, very quick hook here. What are your thoughts? Angels, Astros.
Yeah, I think Wesneski's prop looks pretty good. I think his K prop looks okay on a new team this year. He's looked good. I mean, he looked good against Seattle, I thought. I think he's a decent arm, and the matchup with the Angels is a pretty good one. So I get it with Wesneski at that $7,300 price tag. I do prefer him to Casey Mize. If you're choosing right in that low 7K range, I do prefer Wesneski to Mize. But again, I know I keep repeating myself, but it's just a slate where I do want big upside at pitcher, and I'm not sure Wesneski quite makes the cut. So I think he's a fine play, but it's just tough when you got, Reagan's is just $1,000 more, Green is $1,200 more. It's one sacrifice at one hitter position to get up to those guys over Wesneski. So that's going to be my approach, but I do think he's a pretty good play at 7,300, especially projection-wise. I get it with Wesneski. I do think you could play the Angels against him. He's given up quite a bit of power over the last couple seasons, especially to right-handed bats. Mike Trout, again, hopefully he can stay healthy all season. It'd be fun to see Mike Trout kind of turn back the clock, but probably not, like you say. But he does look awesome right now. He's got 6 home runs already on the year. He's crushing it. I do think he's a pretty good play on this slate. And then, I'm sure people are going to the Astros. I think I played was it the Rays? Yeah, the Rays against Hendricks, which was painful to watch him lobbing up his 78-mile-per-hour fastballs, and your team can't do anything against him.
Major league hitters would rather face 102 than Hendricks, and that's a problem for the opposing offenses.
I'd like to see JT Hayes in the box against Hendricks with those. You'd have a chance at least.
He's probably, honestly, well, for what I face, he's either league average or above average in terms of velocity. So he may be a challenge for me. I don't know. I like the harder stuff. So, but that would be harder.
I like your chances against Hendricks better than Garrett Crochet. Maybe I'm not.
No doubt.
Yeah, so I mean the Astros, they've got to be in play against Hendricks. Jordan Alvarez, I think, is clearly the best play on the Astros. So I really like using him as a one-off. I'm sure he'll be a popular option today. Yeah. But this Astros offense, man, they are not. They have not been hitting. They are not an inspiring team. And even against Hendricks, I can't really say that I'm that excited to play these guys outside of Alvarez. So. Yeah.
They're the most popular team on the slate, DC.
Nah, see, I'm not buying that. I'm not buying that.
Well, they are.
No. I believe you. I'm not buying him myself playing into that.
That's why I say if I can play the Yankees at 3%, the Nationals at 6%. There's another team coming on that's going to be less owned than these guys are too. I think I'm going to go that way. And Astros minis, maybe a one-off here and there. I'm not going crazy with the name. Jordan Alvarez, if he ends up in a lineup, great. It's fine.
Probably the day Hendricks gets absolutely nuked, right?
Probably, but again, usually the way these things work. I'm
with you though. I'm with you on the relative Astros fade. I don't love him today.
Yeah, it's a moderate offense as the highest owned simply because of an opposing pitcher. And this is a guy who, look, he's not he's a good major league pitcher. He's been in the league for 100 years. But he gets a lot of ground balls. This isn't an offense that, as you say, is very inspiring. All right. We will move on to the next game. And this is one that DC is one. We got 2 games left, so go ahead, drop any questions in the chat. We are going to get out of here right around 12:30 so that we have an hour to make lineups and hopefully make SaberSim work. Garrett Crochet, 9,400 against Shane Smith at 7,100. 16-mile-an-hour wind blowing in Chicago for the Red Sox and the White Sox, DC. It sounds like Garrett Crochet is your favorite pitcher on this entire slate. Garrett Crochet is a lot of people's favorite pitcher on the entire slate. He is, by a fairly wide margin, projected to be the highest owned pitcher, right around 55%, maybe a little bit higher in some of those single entry contests.
Yeah.
Why is today going to be different? And why is Garrett Crochet going to be on the winner, even at that ownership?
Yeah, you just look at this White Sox team. I think maybe the second worst lineup. I still think the Marlins might be worse, but starting to maybe shift over to the White Sox as being the worst offenses in the league. You just look at even their quote unquote good hitters. It's like Luis Robert and Andrew Vaughn are their 2 good hitters. and they're just not any good. I mean, this whole team, this lineup is just awful. So Crochet is coming off a mediocre performance against the Blue Jays. I did watch that start. It was super, super cold in Boston, and it seemed like Crochet was kind of having trouble, finding the strike zone. He's falling behind a lot of hitters. I think because it was just so cold. That's what it looked like, just watching the game. Not going to be an issue here. 60 degrees in Chicago, like you said, amazing pitching environment with strong winds blowing straight in from center field. I mean, not that the White Sox really have any power anyway, but going to be tough for them to do damage via the long ball. So for me, this just comes down to Crochet not hurting himself, right? With walks, falling behind hitters. The nice thing is Boston lets him go. I mean, he threw 107 pitches last time out, 102 in his previous start. You don't have very many pitchers with that kind of leash anymore, even on a slate with a lot of good pitchers going. So I'm in on Crochet. There's enough good pitching options today, JT, where you certainly don't have to play him, right? I mean, if you want to play Green and Sale or even some of the cheap guys we've talked about, he's not a must play, but I do think he is rightfully the highest owned pitcher, and I do think he should be projected for the most fantasy points, whichever every site has him projected for that. So I think both those things are correct. I lean playing Crochet myself, but again, there are several pitchers who could match Crochet even if he does have a big game. So again, don't think you have to play him, but for me, he is going to be in the core in my main lineup. Crochet will be. No White Sox. And then, again, I just don't love playing into these games where it's so tough to hit for power like it should be in Chicago. So I'm kind of lower on the Red Sox offense myself as well. What about you?
Some interest here on the Red Sox at 6% ownership. Yeah. Shane Smith here. Stevers says he's a good young arm. Okay. I'll take his word for it. I don't know who the fuck he is.
He does look pretty decent to me, Shane Smith. Yeah, I agree.
But not like, he's not,
no.
Jack Leiter. I mean, he's not, he's not highly. I mean, this is an organization.
Certainly not someone you need to avoid. I agree.
Yeah. And once you get, and as they've done, they're not going to push these young guys, right? And you're going to get into that bullpen. The White Sox bullpen is terrible. Yes, you make a good point about it being tough to get a ball out. But, and again, think about this in Chicago. Wind blowing in right now could change. I mean, how many times has our buddy Steve Boynton been heading out to a game, get to the field and say, oh my God, the wind totally shifted. And now you've got a 60-mile-an-hour wind blowing out instead of in. So I don't know what's going to happen there, but I do have interest in the Red Sox at 6%. Pitcher coming up, though, DC, I think I'm going to take more of this pitcher and go under on Crochet, just because on these big slates, this did not work out, by the way, Friday night. This did not work out Friday night when Pivetta on a 13-game slate was 50% owned and got 40 points. Yeah. Sometimes the guy who should be the best play is the best play. Mm-hmm. A lot of times on these 10, 11, 12, 13-game slates, the guy who is projected to be the highest owned is just not the best play. I think Crochet on paper is the best play here, and I'll have some, but do I think that there's a better than 50% chance that Zach Wheeler outscores him? Yeah, I do. I think it's 50-50 who gets a better score, and for that reason, I'll take Wheeler at 20% against Crochet at 50%. And really kind of just as good a matchup, as good as Zach Wheeler has been. We'll get to this game now. You have any more thoughts on the Red Sox and the White Sox?
No, I think that's it for Red Sox, White Sox, and yeah, Phillies, Cardinals. I mean, I have no problem with the Wheeler play. I do think it's, this Cardinals lineup is not great by any means. I do think it's quite a bit better than the White Sox. So, I honestly, JT, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Wheeler come in even lower than what do you have him projected for? 20%, 15%?
20%. I think you're right. I think it's a little lower than that. I think people are going to overestimate the weather. There's some wind blowing out here in a park that really does nothing for wind.
And it's more expensive too. So I do think, I bet we'll see Wheeler. My guess is closer to 10% on.
You have, let's just, Lars Nootbaar is a nice player. Alec Burleson hits a home run every few weeks. Brendan Donovan's a nice player. Arenado and Contreras can strike out with the best of them. Nolan Gorman's okay. Jordan Walker, Yoel Pozo, and Victor Scott. I mean, I'm just not really worried about the Cardinals against Zach Wheeler, and that's not the right way to say it, because I've always hated when people say I'm not worried. They're major league hitters. I mean, most of them, in another organization, they'd be in Double-A. Some of these guys, but if you're going to tell me that he's going to come in as the lowest owned superstar pitcher on the slate, I got to have interest. I got to be over the field on Zach Wheeler. He is 10-3. The Phillies, who people have been trying to make this offense, just like the Braves, it seems. You got all these names in the lineup. They should be better, maybe, and they're just not doing a whole lot, but they do get Matthew Liberatore today, 7,400. Phillies, Cardinals, Phillies, another, just like the Braves, a good thing about the Phillies is that starting lineup, those guys are going to play the whole game. You may have one guy that's lifted out of the 9, and that's something that is, 5 years ago we wouldn't have been looking for in Major League Baseball. Now you're like, okay, these teams, I know I'm going to get my 4 or 5 at-bats from these guys. There is, like I said, some good weather that I don't want to overestimate in this park. But your thoughts here on Wheeler and the Phillies against Liberatore and the Cards?
Yeah, like you said, it should be a pretty nice day for baseball and even offense here in St. Louis. Mid-70s and some winds out to left field. So, I mean, Phillies obviously have power, right, at the top of the lineup. I do think they are in play for sure. I assume they're going to – do we know where they're going to come in ownership-wise? The Phillies, I assume it'll be somewhat high. I think the Phillies are a good play. They're not my favorite stack, but certainly can mix those guys in, like you said, on the road. So you're guaranteed the full 9 innings, and you're guaranteed essentially with at least the top 5 or 6 hitters. They're not coming out of the game outside of an injury or something like that. So, I do think the Phillies have a lot of upside here. Liberatore, I don't think is terrible, but honestly, there's not that many bad pitchers going on the slate. So you do kind of got to pick your spots carefully, and the Phillies do look like a spot to go to. They are tough to fit, I think. I kind of want to spend on, or I am going to spend on pitching today. And obviously the Phillies that you want are mostly pretty expensive. But Turner, Harper, Schwarber, Castellanos, Realmuto. I mean, that's a dangerous top 5 that obviously has a ton of upside. So I get why people are going to them. I'll mix them in for sure. And then the Cardinals, I mean, if you want to play Lars Nootbaar, I think would be my favorite play. But Zach Wheeler, obviously, the way to play that one. And I think you're right. He's going to be lower owned than he should be. So it makes sense to get overweight on Zach Wheeler. I like that call.
Phillies projected to be the second highest owned team on the slate, but DC, we're only talking like 7%. So it's not like
spread out today, it looks like.
I think the Padres in one of those games against the A's, the game after they went nuclear, were cresting 40-45% ownership in single entries. You're not going to have anything like that today. So Wheeler here for me, and we've talked about it, right? I mean, Wheeler, Mackenzie Gore, Garrett Crochet, Hunter Green,
Chris Sale,
Reagans. I'm off Reagans. I'm going to play some Wisniewski and some Simeon Woods Richardson. It's a guy I never roster. So it may not be a good idea for me to break that rule, but I'm going to do it at 5,800. Team that's most important to your success today from an offensive standpoint. So we got the pitching that we're in, right? Crochet, Gore, Hunter Green, Chris Sale. You're on Reagans. I'm going to play some Woods Richardson and Wisniewski. Offense that's most important to your success today.
So pitching Crochet and Green is my favorite pairing. That's going to be the chalky pairing, but it is my personal favorite, even playing into the ownership. And then offense, sometimes you just need a little nudge to really see the board clearly, JT. And you gave me the nudge. I was eyeing up this Yankee stack against Logan Webb, but it's still Logan Webb, and you're thinking, maybe it won't work out. But you come on here and right away you're talking up the Yankees.
Yeah.
And that's what I needed, JT, to get on board. They got power, they got speed, the weather looks good. And Logan Webb, I'm not that scared of him outside of San Francisco. You throw in low ownership as well. My man JT's on him.
Yep.
Go Yankees. Let's see some home runs in the Bronx today.
Yeah, we're Yankees are very important to my success today. The other team that I think is going to be important to my success is the Washington Nationals. They've been hitting all weekend, and then I think there's going to be some home runs in that game in Tampa. Don't have a strong lean on who's going to hit him. I would say Ozzie Albies has been hitting the ball well. Murphy hit 2 home runs yesterday. Murphy's a guy that's streaky. I don't know if he's even in the lineup today because it is a day game. It's a day game after a day game. Is he back in there?
Yep, he's back in.
He's in there. So 3,700 for Murphy. Give me a home run call, DC. Someone that we haven't talked about.
Home run call. Yeah, I can't go to my man Ben Rice. We'll go back to the Braves. I like Michael Harris a lot leading off for the Braves today.
Okay. You know who else has been hot? And he's not particularly cheap, though. But middle of the order for the Orioles, Cedric Mullins.
Yeah,
he's been hitting the ball well. So we'll go with Ceddy Mullins. C Self-Made says he's going with Cleveland against Ragans. Cleveland is going to come in at 2% ownership. That's interesting there. DC, you have a core update? I'm not on the core page today. It was a late edition. I'm here for Bryce. The boys are down. They were with President Trump last night, JBC and Bryce and Dan. They were watching UFC with the president, with 47.
Those guys probably had better seats than Trump did.
I don't know about that. He was basically sitting on Dana White's lap. So you can't really get much better than that when you want to go and see a UFC event. But I'll be in Discord. Chopping it up. I'm not going to be on X today chopping it up with your followers. That was a fun day Friday. 6-hour car ride down to Florida with people challenging my knowledge about something that I've done for 30 years, which was fun. But we're going to stay off X. We're going to watch the Masters.
There we go.
We're going to watch this 10-game slate. DC's got a core up. You got a core up? You got a core
I will. Yes.
DC's got a core up. Boynton probably going to wake up around 1:30, put his core up. It'll probably win. AP's got a core up. Did a little humble brag with his DraftKings balance in the Discord earlier, so that was nice to see. He'll be putting a core up. Stevers is up there. Joe Ruff wants the JT core in the Discord. We'll see, Joe Ruff. Right now, I'm not feeling like you've earned it. You've actually, people watching the show have been kind of boring, DC. The comments, I mean, everything, it's been kind of, but for you, Joe Ruff, maybe I'll put a spaced out core in there. For everyone else, though, cores will be up. Content will be up. We're going to have a fun day. We're going to win today. It's Masters. NBA playoffs right around the corner. For DC, I'm JT Hayes. Good luck in your contest.